happiness. Something that we all are chasing all the time, and yet for many of us seems to be elusive. Now, why is that? Why do we seem to have this collective unhappiness for so much of our lives? And what is there to be done about it? Why does it seem that so many of us can only find happiness on a Friday and Saturday night, getting wasted, taking drugs, or partying until 3 a.m? Why is it that the only time any of us really seem to be happy is when we are escaping the reality of life? What are we missing? Is there a way that we can find happiness without needing to destroy ourselves or escape our reality? Is there really a way that we can face our reality and still be happy? Or is there just too much negativity to focus on? Well, yes, there is a better way. There is a solution. There is absolutely no need for us to go on with the rest of our lives being miserable. I'm going to show you how you can take control of your happiness and drastically improve your mindset and outlook on life, so you can feel happier far more often. There are many techniques that we can use, and I'm going to share the ones that helped me and my clients the most, and that will help you as well. First of all, something you must understand is that happiness is not something to be chased. It's sort of like a cat. Have you ever tried to love a cat? To really grab it and pat it? It just doesn't work. The stupid thing just runs away. But what happens when you leave it alone? It will come and find you. So in the same way, that is to say that happiness is not something that we can necessarily directly pursue. We can't just make it happen. We can't just cultivate it. When we try to do that, it evades us. Happiness is instead something found as a side effect. It's a byproduct of many things that we can do. For starters, gratitude is the ultimate happiness hack. I don't care what your circumstances are. I don't care how much you think you lack in your life. I can tell you one thing for certain, and one thing that you can certainly feel grateful about, and that is your heartbeat. Now, it sounds cheesy, it sounds simple, but this really has helped me personally, and it has helped all of my clients that I've used this with and that they have adopted. And it's this saying: as long as my heart is beating, I have something to be grateful for. Isn't that true? As long as your heart is beating, you have something to be grateful for. You literally have this tiny little thing sitting in your chest, keeping you alive. To me, that's amazing. Now, that's a powerful statement when truly nothing else seems to be going right in your life, and you really need something to pick you up off of rock bottom. And we've all been there, so there's nothing wrong with that. Use whatever you have and whatever tool you can find to pick yourself up. But gratitude is the ultimate hack for happiness. The more we have to be grateful for, the more we can genuinely look around and be grateful for, the happier we will become. Now, on a neurochemical level, you cannot feel negative and grateful at the same time. So whether you use it to go from negative to neutral or neutral to positive, gratitude will always lift your mood if you do it properly and take it seriously and be genuine about it. For me and for some of my clients, the best way to practice gratitude is through journaling. Now, I've got a whole nother lecture on journaling coming up and its many uses, but taking the time to sit down and write out the things that you are grateful for is a powerful strategy for finding and improving your mood. And if you're someone who feels like they are less than neutral more often than not, I would definitely recommend you gratitude journal every single morning for 5 to 10 minutes to begin with. This will help you lift your baseline from negative, whether it be stressed or anxious or depressed, to at least neutral, at least sort of content, where you may not be ecstatic with the life that you have, but you're certainly not depressed, stressed, or anxious as a default. Which brings me to another point about happiness. It is a feeling, and like all other feelings, it comes and it goes. You cannot expect to feel 100% happy 100% of the time. The reality is shit happens. Life happens. Not everything is roses all of the time. That's just how it is, and we can't control that. What we can control is raising our base level of mood to a higher and higher state of mind so that when shit happens, we are already at a higher base level to deal with it. And it's been proven over and over again that the higher your emotional state at the time of a stress-inducing event, i.e. when things don't go your way or something unexpected happens, the better and better you will react and perform in response to that. That's been shown over and over again. There is a direct link between emotional states and performance in stressful environments. Now, besides that little side note, what we really care about here is your happiness. As we've already identified, happiness is a feeling and is something that is not actively created as such, but is a result of certain activities, such as journaling your negative thoughts away, or gratitude journaling, or another way is to bring purpose to your life. So one of the biggest killers of true happiness and contentment is a lack of purpose and cheap dopamine. Now, cheap dopamine is something that we'll go much deeper into in Mindset Mastery, but essentially cheap dopamine is that empty, fleeting feeling of happiness you get when you play video games or binge Netflix or, get wasted on a Friday night. Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's happiness. It's that feeling of happiness, but it's extremely short-lived. And the overall feeling that you're left with afterwards is that emptiness and that lack of purpose. So that's where we need to turn our attention to now, purpose. Think about a time when you completed a hard gym session, or if you're a parent, a time when you were really bonding with your children, or when you complete an important project at work. That feeling you get is happiness. And that's lasting happiness. That's the good source of dopamine, as opposed to the cheap and empty dopamine we mentioned before. So where does this come from? It comes from that purpose. And the great news is we can give purpose. We can give purpose to our lives or neglect to every day. That's why people left, right and center have been jumping on the personal development bandwagon. That's why people love their morning routines or join fitness groups or sporting teams or other types of communities and challenges outside of the office, because it gives them a sense of purpose. We are the ones who control this purpose. We can choose to give our lives purpose. And I really encourage you to start thinking of what areas in your life you can give more purpose to, and which areas you are neglecting at the moment. Whether it be your physical health or your social connections or your family or your work, where can you give a sense of purpose to your life and give yourself a meaning and a purposeful goal in that area that will give purpose to your everyday existence? Now, I encourage you to think of one and only one thing, because otherwise you're going to spread yourself far too thin and you'll quit. Pick one thing, the one goal in the one area of your life that is going to have the greatest positive impact on your life, and go all in on that. I guarantee you the journey toward the fulfillment of that goal, even more so than the achievement of it, will give you more happiness than any Netflix binge or a night out. And that's where that personal development addiction starts. That realization that more happiness can be derived from the journey and attainment of a purposeful goal, and living a life full of purpose is far more rewarding mentally than any source of cheap dopamine. So that was a lot. So let's summarize. Here's how you hack happiness depending on where you think you are on the base level scale right now. So if you're quite low down and your base level is filled with anxiety, depression, and stress as a sort of default setting, then I encourage you to grab a journal and just gratitude journal for 5 to 10 minutes every single morning. And no, this is not an airy-fairy kind of bullshit way. It's not some bullshit technique. Take this seriously. This is not just a feel better about yourself and lie to yourself and that everything's fine and rosy and okay. This exercise is actually about teaching your brain to find things to be grateful for, no matter how small. Even if you just start with your heart beating and work up from there. Be grateful for being able to wear clothes or have a morning coffee or hot water or food or a roof over your head, or the electricity is on, the Wi-Fi is working. Just anything and everything that you can find, no matter how small you need to start, just do it and feel the gratitude of each thing as you go. Please don't force it. Be genuine in your approach, but Also be genuine in your seriousness to find things that you are grateful for, no matter how you feel at that moment. The next thing is giving more purpose to your life. It's a very active activity. This is not passive, sit in a corner, think about what your purpose is and things like that. This is giving purpose. So become more aware of where you're getting empty, cheap dopamine, where the after effect is that sort of underlying feeling of knowing that you're wasting your life, and aim to get rid of much as that as possible. Just cut it out of your life. Then work out the one goal in the one area of your life that is going to have the greatest positive impact on your life and give you the greatest sense of purpose, whether it be losing weight and getting in better shape, to be an example for your kids, or just for yourself, or taking on an exciting project at work, or starting a side hustle that you're passionate about. Find something that gives you a greater sense of purpose and accomplishment instead of the Netflix binge or the Friday night on the town. If you do these two things, I guarantee you happiness will find you. You'll feel better more often and more easily. So when life does get hard, which inevitably it will, you will respond better and perform better and continue on your way up and up. Find gratitude, give purpose. These are your secrets to lasting happiness. Now, the final thing I will say on happiness, because again, I don't really believe that anyone can just tell you what to do and you'll be cured forever. That certainly never worked in my experience for myself or for my clients. So what you must understand is that happiness is a feeling. It cannot be chased. It cannot be pursued because it's a byproduct. It's a byproduct of your thoughts and our actions. And the more we do things that we genuinely enjoy, and enjoy being the key verb there, the doing word, the happier we are. To go a level deeper, happiness in truth is more about the freedom from misery than it is about actually being happy. Think about that. You want to be happy because you don't want to be miserable. That sounds obvious, but it's really important to understand what your motivations are here, because most people just think that they want to be happy, when in reality they just prefer not to be miserable. And not because you should pursue happiness or should not run away from misery. There are no shoulds and should nots. But you must understand that your motivation is more for freedom from misery than it is toward happiness. And that's okay. The push away is always stronger than the pull toward. So understanding that happiness is more about the freedom from misery, we see that we are in a bit of a paradox. Because the more we care about not being miserable, the more we care about being happy. And therefore, the more that we are stuck. So what we must understand is that the more that we care about feeling a certain way, the more stuck we are. The more we will sort of yo-yo between the two. So let me ask you a question. What if you didn't care about being miserable? What if you just didn't care? What if it didn't bother you at all? If you genuinely didn't care about being miserable and it didn't bother you and you could separate yourself from that feeling, then at the same time, you also wouldn't care about being happy. And if you understand this, you can see that if there is in fact a location of happiness, of lasting happiness, it's actually in the not needing of it. So when we let go of the need for happiness, because we don't need to get away from misery, because we don't care about it, we actually become free. And with that freedom is peace.